The ethereal presence and emotionally complex songs that Stevie Nicks is recognized for have made her a defining voice in the rock music genre for a very long time. Her reputation is built on decades of chart-topping hits, iconic performances, and deeply personal lyrics that have been formed by the people and events that have followed her throughout her career. She is now 76 years old, but there is a less significant part of her life that sits hidden beneath the music and the mystique. This part of her life is centered on a strong and enduring love that she rarely discusses. Now, Nix is providing an open and honest account of the individual who has left an indelible impression on her heart for the very first time. The narrative is replete with feelings of ardor, bereavement, and the kind of connection that endures over the course of time. It was this man who served as the inspiration for some of her most iconic songs, and he was also the one she never really let go of. The musical journeys of Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham began in the 1960s at Menlo Atherton High School, which is located in the state of California. Their first encounter resulted in a profound bond, both professionally and personally, which ultimately influenced the course of rock and roll in the future. Not only did their harmonies become famous, but so did their relationship, which was characterized by innovation and complexity. They gave a performance together at a senior celebration while they were still in school, and they displayed a natural vocal synergy that seemed to hint at the iconic relationship that was to come. As soon as you graduate, the two of them abruptly parted ways, but 2 years later, Buckingham extended an invitation to Nicks to become a member of his band, Fritz. Their career in rock music began with this collaboration, which marked the beginning of their career. Within a short period of time, they were performing as opening acts for well-known acts such as Jefferson Airplane and Janis Joplin, which catapulted them into the exciting and high-pressure world of rock music throughout the 1960s. In the early 1970s, Nicks and Buckingham became closer to one another while Fritz gradually disappeared. They went from being simple lovers to becoming a couple over time. Through the medium of their music, they channel their passions and feelings. They made their first album together as a duo titled Buckingham Nicks, which was released in 1973. Despite the fact that the record did not reach commercial success, it was essential in laying the groundwork for their future and getting Mick Fleetwood's notice, which ultimately led to an invitation that would completely alter the course of their life. One of the most significant turning points in the couple's lives occurred in 1975, when they became members of Fleetwood Mac. Although their participation in the band gave the band a fresh lease of life, it also put a tremendous pressure on the relationship between the members of the band. During the time that they were working on the pioneering album, the pressure started to develop. The difficulties that came with unexpected notoriety, in conjunction with the intensity of their creative process, contributed to the gradual weakening of their connection. By 1976, while Nicks and Buckingham were recording Rumors, their relationship had reached a stage where it was no longer able to be sustained. Experiencing the agony of their split, on the other hand, influenced a few of the most iconic tunes in the history of rock music. Nicks penned Dreams, a heartfelt song about a relationship that had been lost, while Buckingham responded with the visceral and agitated intensity of Go Your Own Way. Their personal hardships, which were openly revealed in their song, struck a chord with millions of people, which resulted in Rumors becoming one of the albums that sold the most copies ever. Nicks and Buckingham continued to work together in the music industry even after the end of their romantic connection, despite the fact that their collaboration was not without its challenges. It was the friction that existed between them that became a defining characteristic of Fleetwood Mac. It infused their performances with vitality and added a layer of intricacy to their music, which attracted their audience. As a result of the turbulent breakup she experienced with Buckingham, Nicks found herself venturing into an entirely new level of popularity and artistic development. While she was in the midst of this whirlwind, she came into contact with J.D. Souther, a person who had a brief but significant impact on her romantic life. It was in the early 1970s when Stevie Nicks and J.D. Souther first came into contact with one another in the thriving music scene of Los Angeles. Having already established himself as a prominent character in the country rock scene, Souther had already created a number of significant successes for the Eagles and was also building a name for himself with his own music. Nix, who had recently ended her relationship with Lindsey Buckingham and was riding high on Fleetwood Mac's popularity, made a connection with Souther, who was familiar with the unpredictable journey that comes with being in the spotlight. Electricity was the chemistry that existed between them. Despite the fact that they were both famous for their songs and emotive performances, their relationship went beyond a simple physical attraction and instead tapped into a more profound artistic rapport. In spite of the fact that their relationship did not last very long, it was characterized by a mutual appreciation for each other's creative abilities and a shared passion for music. On the other hand, the music industry brought them together, but it also presented them with a number of significant problems. The 1970s music scene was dominated by men to a significant extent, putting women in the background or focusing mostly on their relationships with male artists as the primary lens through which they are viewed. Despite the fact that Nix was resolute in her pursuit of establishing her identity as an artist, she found herself struggling with the challenges that the profession presented, while also navigating her personal life with Souther. During her observation, she saw that male artists such as Souther were afforded certain privileges and respect that were typically denied to female artists. This disparity was not something that Nix failed to notice, notably because she was rapidly becoming one of the most powerful women in the rock music industry. She continued to fight against these limits as their relationship progressed, making use of the increased power she had to advocate for herself and other women working in the sector. Ironically, it seemed as though her relationship with Souther served to strengthen her resolve to be recognized for her talent, rather than for the romantic connection she had. The fact that they were only together for a brief period of time did not reduce the influence that it had on Nix's artistic development. Nix was able to uncover new sources of inspiration and opportunity because to Souther's extensive musical knowledge and the relationships he maintained within the larger music community. One of the most important factors that contributed to Nix's development as a songwriter and singer was the relationship that they shared, which included both personal and professional components. After the breakup of her relationship, Nix put her experiences into her body. The themes of independence, strength, and the search for acknowledgement grew ever more apparent in her lyrics as time went on. It is commonly assumed that songs such as After the Glitter Fades and Has Anyone Ever Written Anything for You were motivated by this period of her life, yet Nix has continuously maintained a feeling of mystery surrounding the sources of inspiration that she draws from. Following the initial pleasure that she experienced from her brief contact with Souther, Nix found herself engaged in a relationship that would go on to become the most complicated of her previous romantic experiences. Nix's relationship with Mick Fleetwood had a significant and deep part in her personal life. This bond was strongly tied to the turbulent and artistically rich dynamics of Fleetwood Mac. The course that their band would eventually take, as well as the greater environment of rock music, was ultimately impacted by their relationship. The turbulent environment that prevailed at Fleetwood Mac in the late 1970s served as the place where the groundwork for their affair was formed. At the height of their success, the band was performing. In spite of the fact that they were enjoying the success of their landmark album Rumors, personal connections were beginning to fall apart beneath the surface. On the other hand, Mick Fleetwood's marriage to Jenny Boyd was in a fragile balance, while Stevie Nicks had just finished her long-term relationship with Lindsey Buckingham. The attraction between Nicks and Fleetwood was so strong that it was impossible to resist, even in the midst of emotional turmoil and creative fervor. The lines that separated their personal lives from their professional lives became blurry, which resulted in a romantic relationship that was both passionate and confusing. Nicks and Fleetwood had a relationship that was tumultuous and full of highs and lows throughout their time together. Their relationship occurred during a period of time when they were experiencing hectic tour schedules, long studio hours, and constant attention from the media as well as their fellow bandmates. In a significant way, this romance influenced Fleetwood Mac's music. However, the emotional roller coaster that they went through not only gave a great deal of drama to the dynamic of the group, but it also added a true raw vibe to their songs, which really resonated with their listeners. The remaining members were tasked with navigating the ramifications while also attempting to maintain a professional demeanor, despite the personal upheaval that was taking place. When Buckingham saw his ex-girlfriend with another member of the band, it was very difficult for him. The romantic relationship between Nicks and Fleetwood was not designed to last, much like many other partnerships that originate from such a chaotic background. Despite this, the fact that the romantic aspect of the story was over did not mean that they could no longer remain close. During their time in Fleetwood Mac, Nix and Fleetwood were required to figure out a way to continue working together, developing their relationship into a solid friendship and working together on musical projects. Despite the fact that things did not always go according to plan, it was clear that they were dedicated to both the band and to one another. After going through a difficult period with Fleetwood, Stevie Nicks found herself enthralled by another legendary figure in the world of music. In 1977, she was riding high on the success of Fleetwood Mac's massive record, and she was riding particularly high. There are rumors. It was also the case that Don Henley, the drummer and co-lead vocalist for the Eagles, was performing at the highest possible level. Immediately after these two music icons came together, sparks began to fly between them. Nicks and Henley were both well known for their captivating stage presences and their ability to convey profound feelings through the songs that they created that will live long in the memory. As a result of their mutual appreciation for music and their awareness of the challenges that come with fame, they formed an excellent partnership among themselves. Nevertheless, the deep desire that drew them together later proved to be the cause of their dissolution. Having to deal with the pressures of their bands in addition to the difficulties of being in a relationship that was public caused a great deal of stress. Because of their strong personalities, the wild touring lifestyle, the temptations of being in the spotlight, and the fact that they were celebrities, things were quite volatile. An unexpected event occurred when Nicks was in the midst of this whirlwind affair, and it completely altered everything. It was revealed to her that she was expecting a child. This information caused a roller coaster of feelings and forced me to make some difficult choices. Nicks and Henley were both at pivotal moments in their careers, coping with hectic tour schedules and the obligations of releasing new albums for their respective bands. The prospect of starting a family was alluring, but it seemed as though it wouldn't be compatible with the path that they were going to take. Nicks came to the difficult conclusion that she should terminate the pregnancy after engaging in a great deal of introspection and, without a doubt, uncomfortable consideration. Although her decision would have profoundly personal repercussions for her, it would also have far-reaching implications for Henley. The event turned out to be a defining point in their relationship, one that would influence the way they behaved for many years to come. After this decision was made, their romantic connection began to gradually fall apart as a result of the consequences. The weight of what could have been, in conjunction with the unrelenting pace of their jobs, proved to be too much for their nascent love to keep up with. In spite of the fact that their romantic engagement came to an end, the influence of their time spent together would continue to reverberate through the music that they created. It was the particular atmosphere that Stevie Nicks and Jimmy Iovine shared that combined their professional relationship with a personal connection. This combination had a significant impact on her musical journey, as well as the music scene in the early 1980s. Nicks was already a rock star, and Iovine was on the rise as a producer, having worked on her debut solo album Belladonna. Nicks was already doing well in the music industry. From the very beginning, there was a high level of chemistry between the two of them. Iovine had a genius for recognizing and refining Nicks' one-of-a-kind sound, and his drive was a perfect match for hers. The professional aspect of their connection began to transform into something more personal as they worked together in the studio for extended periods of time. A significant turning point occurred in both their professional and personal lives as a result of the production of Belladonna. Those late evenings spent together playing music, their mutual enthusiasm for producing something unique, and the intimate aspect of the creative process all contributed to the development of their developing attraction to one another. Iovine was more than just a good producer according to Nick's evaluation of him. He was someone who truly understood her artistic vision and contributed to the realization of that goal. The deepening of their connection brought up additional layers of complexity to the work that they did together. Iovine's influence on Nicks's music developed to a greater degree, which contributed to the formation of the sound that would come to define her solo career. Songs such as Edge of 17 Inches and Stop Without Its Challenges are examples. At the same time that Nicks was beginning her solo career, she was also juggling her obligations to Fleetwood Mac. Meanwhile, Iovine was working hard to establish himself as one of the most successful producers in the industry. Within the high-pressure climate of rock and roll, the difficulty of maintaining a personal relationship while also maintaining a professional partnership took its toll on the relationship. Even though these obstacles were present, the significance of their relationship continued to exist. As they worked together in a professional capacity, in spite of the fact that their personal relationship was developing, they were able to successfully negotiate the thin line that separated their past mutual intimacy and their current collaboration. Even though they ended their personal engagement, they continued to have a significant impact on one another's lives and professions even after the relationship ended. Following his participation in the establishment of Interscope Records, and later Beats Electronics, Iovine emerged as a prominent player in the music industry. He was also instrumental in the development of Beats Electronics. Nix continued to surf the waves of celebrity despite the fact that he was currently dealing with personal issues. While Nix was experiencing success in her solo career in 1982, tragedy struck when Robin was diagnosed with terminal leukemia while she was pregnant with her first child. Nix was suffering from the disease at the time. Nix was confronted with the approaching death of her closest friend on the same day that she received this tragic news. Despite the fact that Robin's health was deteriorating, Nix made it her mission to be there for her buddy in the moments that she had left. Mr. Kim Anderson, who was married to Robin, was also devastated, which resulted in a close relationship and a decision that would subsequently be seen as a mistaken attempt to respect Robin's dying wish to care for her kid. These two individuals were both heartbroken. With only 3 months having passed since Robin's passing, Nix and Anderson made the unexpected decision to get married. Family and acquaintances of the couple expressed surprise and concern when they announced their intention to be married. A lot of people thought that it was a rushed decision that was made out of grief rather than genuine love. Over time, Nix would eventually